All right, why don't we get started? Thank you all for joining us this morning. It's a pleasure to have you here on our ERPA group Rapid Fluid Deployment webinar. We're pleased to have Albert Sarian from LACCD here with us to talk about his experience, and Sai Krishnan, who's a senior program manager with us at ERPA Group, to talk about our offering. So welcome everyone. My name is Gary Summers. I am a senior client executive in higher ed, and I've been in higher ed for over 40 years, been working with PeopleSoft for, oh gosh, I don't want to admit it, but it's over 24 years. So I can remember version 6.0 and version 7.0, if some of you on the call may be old enough to remember those things as well. Albert, if you could take a moment to introduce yourself. We've worked with Albert for several years on multiple projects. Albert?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Albert Sarian. So I've been with the Los Angeles Community College District for about 12 years on various roles, from project management to team leads on development projects. So I currently oversee the academic computing and student systems for our district and all 9 colleges. And we've had various very successful engagements working with Gary and his teams. So glad to be here today.
Thanks, Albert. And then we're also joined by Sai Krishnan, who is a senior program manager at ERPA. Sai, can you tell us briefly about yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you, Gary. Good morning, everyone. This is Sai, and now, and I have close to, similar to Gary, I've got like 2 decades of PeopleSoft experience, done functional business, program project management, and leadership as well. And across all the pillars, my role at ERPA is implementing various projects that involve everything to do with PeopleSoft, and Fluid being one of the key component as well.
Great.
Glad to share our expertise here today.
Great, thanks, Sai. Can you go to the next slide, please? So here's our agenda for this morning. We've just done the introductions. I'm going to give you a brief overview, and I stress brief overview, of ERPA. And then Sai is going to talk about some common challenges for implementing Fluid. And then we really want to get quickly into the LACCD project, their use case, and how they're currently using Fluid. And then after we're done with that, Albert's going to also share a live demo of what they've done there. Then we're going to talk about our rapid Fluid implementation methodology, and talk about some of our pre-designed solutions, and then we'll leave some time for Q&A at the end. We have a chat capability if any of you would like to chat with us. We also have a question capability. If you want to ask questions, we'll be monitoring those. And then we also have poll capabilities. So in a moment, we'll ask you a poll question. So if you could advance to the next slide, Sai. So ERPA was founded in 1999. I am very pleased to be part of ERPA. As some of you know, I see some old friends on the list here. I've worked for a lot of different organizations, but I've worked for ERPA for about 3 years now. And I'm very pleased with the organization, and to be part of this organization that's focused on customer success and focused on charitable efforts as well. So we're an Oracle partner. We've done over 1,500 successful projects. We've got over 500 employees. We've done a bunch of upgrades. We have done a lot of OBIA work, and we provide managed services to customers. Here are some of our affiliations here. We're an Oracle partner. We're a partner with Amazon Web Services. We're a member of HEUG, and we've been named to the Inc. 5000 a couple of times, and we've been voted, our headquarters is in Columbus, Ohio. We've been voted one of the best places to work in Columbus for several years in a row. Next slide, please. So at the core of our service offerings is a 20-year track record of PeopleSoft excellence. Client service excellence in public sector, higher ed, and commercial sector. We've grown quickly and profitably over the years, and we continue to make investments in our center of excellence in Columbus, Ohio, where we have a really highly skilled team of dedicated folks who can support, who can implement, who can develop PeopleSoft applications, and who manage PeopleSoft applications for several of our hosted customers. We're focused on innovation. We adopt and develop new technologies all the time to support our PeopleSoft clients. We've got this offering you'll see today, which is rapid fluid development. We also have testing as a service, security as a service, and we've built over the years a number of technical upgrade accelerators. We also have a product called Active Genie that helps us manage our customers in external hosting services like Amazon Web Services and Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. As I mentioned earlier, we also have a commitment to culture of excellence. We got a lot of charitable work. We're committed to our employees and our communities. We've won a couple of Best Workplaces award, and our organization, our founders actually started a foundation for kids. So I'm pleased to be part of this. We actually live out our values every day, which are excellence, responsiveness, passion, and agility. So at this point, I'd like Sai to ask us the first poll question, or Arun, if you could ask us the first poll question.
Yeah, I will go ahead and launch the question here. So
there we go. So we just have a quick question here about what is your role in your organization related to PeopleSoft? Is it functional? Is it technical? Is it management? And we will give you about 10 seconds, 15 seconds to respond to that. And then Sai, can we see the results now? There we go. Okay, 44% of you are functional, 38% technical, and 19% management. Thanks very much. So I'm going to hand this over to Sai now to talk a little bit about Fluid and some of the challenges in Fluid development. Fluid interface really represents a paradigm shift for PeopleSoft users. For those of you who've been around as long as we have, you can remember the days of client server technology. You can remember the days of Sparky the dog, when you had to kick Sparky to run processes and such. And PeopleSoft has come a long way, and Fluid interface is part of that, and it really represents a paradigm shift. So Sai, you want to talk about that?
yeah, and before that, we have one more poll question, if you don't mind, Gary.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
This is just to get a little bit more about you guys, like what.
So we want to ask what PeopleSoft pillars your organization is using. So if you could select as many of those as apply. Thank you. And we'll give you about 10 seconds more for that. And then let's look at the results there, Sai. Okay, 77% in Campus Solutions, which is near and dear to my heart. I actually worked for Campus Solutions way back when it was a company. HCM, 73%, FSCM, 57%, iHub, 7%, and then a custom portal, 17%. So today's demo is, today's experience from Albert is going to be focused on the Campus Solutions product, but Sai also has some content and a case study from one of our financials customers and some screenshots of things you can do with finance and both HR. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sai.
Okay, so good morning again. This is, so as Gary mentioned, we have, I would rather say the shift has already happened. or in terms of which direction all the applications are moving. The world is evolving, going towards mobile and intuitive dashboard, enhanced and of PeopleSoft applications through different devices like desktop, smartphones, and tablets. So what we call it design. So if you remember these menu where you do click, 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 now you directly go to these tiles. That's what Fluid is doing. And also Oracle has started to even pushing the customer to move from the classic pages. And when you say classic pages and what Fluid pages, they kind of look like this. If you look at the Fluid pages, you have a very intuitive, very on-demand or dynamic pages, like you call it, dashboards and work centers and activity guides, where things can be taken, a process can be led instead of just going through 5 clicks and being structural. So the paradigm shift is like going from a structural centric to more dynamic and fluid, which is like fluent for people. They are used to all this with various devices they use. So no more PeopleSoft is a back-end process. But with all these things, there are that doesn't come up pretty straightforward or easy. There are a lot of challenges that clients and customers they come across. And foremost is the time constraints. Well, first, IT must learn training for Fluid technology. The business analyst and the SMEs, they have to learn about the Fluid. They have to collaborate with IT to put requirement gathering is again a challenge. IT cannot work without a requirement to provide a solution, and business cannot provide a solution or provide a requirement unless they understand what the Fluid is, how to utilize that. So that leads to significant time. And the whole purpose of this is to deliver value to the end user. So a lot of research is needed in terms of how to deliver intuitive and analytical best suited for specific business area, module, or process. I mean, you cannot simply just put a dashboard where probably you're looking at a navigation or a kind of activity guide, which is like a more sequential event of activities that you want to put them together. So there is a lot of research and value happens, and also of course new technical skills, jargons. I mean, from work centers, pivot grids, guides, type of tiles, there are plenty of these things that both the technical teams and have to get familiar. Not only the technical and the business functionals, but also the users have to be very be aware of all these things. And one thing that part of the technology we always ignore sometimes is the security. I mean, there are security challenges, so one has to ensure that security is well thought through from the beginning, so it's not left behind. Then comes the biggest challenge, design challenge. You cannot design without knowing how to best utilize these Fluid capabilities. So there are things that are, how you can aptly utilize these Fluid objects for specific modules, for specific functionalities. And there is a dilemma of what tile should be enabled. Should we use classic there? Should we use Fluid? There are still transition happening, which is like closer, more than 80% of core functionalities. PeopleSoft now comes up with Fluid delivered tiles, but you still have to group the home pages together based on your roles or functions, how you want to do that. I mean, there is a lot of the core time is spent on the design challenges. As you see the list, it's pretty long in terms of arriving at a solution, arriving at a process that how you're going to, what you want to know and how you want to ensure your business process is flowing smoothly. But how do we resolve all these challenges? ERPA, with its rapid Fluid deployment, along with our client partners, have successfully overcome these challenges. And as you all heard, today we have our special guest and the customer is going to take us through how successfully this was done at Elise. I would now hand over to Albert. Let me make him the presenter. All yours, Albert.
Hi. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you, Sai. I appreciate it. I think the key components to our partnership is really what Sai and Gary talked about. But before I get into our engagement, I want to give you a little bit of a background of our organization, which will hopefully put in perspective the overall scope of what we were able to overcome. And in addition to that, the real, steps we took in terms of, making the project successful. If you guys are not aware of it, LACCD or Los Angeles Community College District has 9 community colleges we serve. The greater Los Angeles area, we have about 200 to 250,000 students per academic year. It's a very large area, and our community is very large that we serve. We were primary, Gary mentioned, in the sort of the older systems, the client server. I mean, when we were putting ourselves on a path for campus solutions, we were even before that. The organization was running a homegrown mainframe system about over 30 years. This was a DEC ACMS Honeywell system that we were running. So our organization is going to go through a major change, and there was a decision. PeopleSoft Campus Solutions, and we went through our the regular procedure of looking at different products, identifying user groups, identifying sort of the needs and gaps. So our implementation project started in 2011 with LACCD and our implementation partners. It was granted a very long and heavy lift, which we already knew that was going to be the case, because we have 9 colleges, but we run a single student information system. So it's centralized, but we have to make sure that we have 9 colleges, 1 district, but we have 9 colleges, 9 identities and processes that you can imagine had to be aligned and adjusted. So it was one of the first major steps that we needed to take in terms of moving away from a heavily customized mainframe system to sort of a out of the box, so the given limitations. But our implementation, our first phase deployed October of 2016. We went live with advisement campus community modules from Campus Solutions. We did have a phased rollout where we sort of followed our business process. We had our admissions, academic advising, then we moved into our student or financial aid, which was a very heavy lift on our side too, and then student financials and sort of supporting. So our full deployment for Campus Solution, at least it took about so we were fully live, I would say July of 2017. And then just like any other implementation, the organization is going through adjustments, sort of lessons learned, both on the technical side and on the functional side. The business has to adjust and really understand how the new system is going to be helping the organization. And just like with any large implementation like this, there's challenges on the change management side, adoption, training. So that said, we went about a year of sort of still adjusting and understanding how the system works, and really understanding where we should be making business adjustments versus we should be making system adjustments. And we had a large list of sort of lessons learned, improvements that we needed. So in 2018, we decided that, we wanted to engage with a partner to take the information we had through of implementation and really make another effort to make sure that we improve the system. And this was really an engagement focused on stabilizing the implementation. It wasn't that the initial implementation wasn't good, because it really depends on the perspective. But the reality is, in large scale implementations like this, especially having an organization transition from a heavy customized homegrown system to a out of the box solution, there's going to be changes. So we focused on stabilizing the implementation. So we partnered with ERPA, and we looked at the changes that needed to be made in reference to adjusting the business processes versus adjusting the application. And Campus Solutions has certain level of customizations that you can do, but one of the key areas of focus on us on the initial 9.0 implementation was to limit the customizations, because we understood that, yes, you can ask any developer or vendor, and Gary knows this very well. Anything can be done. It's just a matter of should it be done, because it's about sustainability. So we were lucky. We had support from our business to limit the customizations. So we really focused on performance, and we did have some customization. So we looked at how can we improve. But part of this engagement, we also had in our roadmap to upgrade to the 9.2 version of Campus Solutions, because we understood that we were sort of in that spot where we're in the 9.0 implementation. We know that the 9.2 implementation was on the horizon, but we were mature enough there in our deployment to jump on 9.2. So we knew to have a second iteration of just upgrading to 9.2. So that's one couple of reasons why we partnered with ERPA to take care of these tasks. So initially, when we were working on the 9.2 implementation, the plan was to do a technical upgrade, and pretty sure most of you know, 5-6 year implementation of a large ERP system, we understand there's going to be certain levels of what we call implementation fatigue. Individuals are just barely trying to recover from the stress and sort of the load of switching to a new system, especially for our organization. I mean, we had to really bring everybody along, and it was a big task. But so we decided it was a technical upgrade. But as we really understood the advantages and the features of 9.2, and there were some other factors associated with this, like we also had implemented the iHub or enterprise portal with our Campus Solutions 9.0 implementation, and it was a good choice. Enterprise portal has a lot of good features. It puts a good look and feel in front of the the classic pages, but there were limitations there where we hadn't fully developed the responsive design. So the student system was available using the mobile devices, but it was trimmed down in terms of functionality. Students could look at classes, they could search for classes, but they couldn't enroll, they couldn't make any payments. So it was limited. So during that implementation, we had also implemented the Oracle mobile app to try to overcome this. But working with Oracle, and we are understanding the Oracle roadmap, with Fluid on the horizon, Oracle was sort of scaling back on the R&D that they put into improving the mobile app. So we knew that the mobile app was also going to be phased out, and ultimately they were all going to converge into utilizing the Fluid interface. And taking this into consideration, it was really logical to say, all right, so we want to provide a responsive design with mobile access to our students. We want to enhance the experience for the students and faculty. So it was decided that we really need to move forward with not just the technical upgrade, but with also the fluid upgrade. So we again put together our team, and initially the ERPA team that came on board, they had great resources from the functional analysts to their technical analysts, their infrastructure team. They had a good team brought to us. But when we approached them regarding fluid, ERPA did bring on additional resources that were really experts in the fluid development. And Sai Gary mentioned a couple of sort of their models. They brought in experts specifically for the fluid development, and that included user experience experts, developers, and infrastructure team members. From the LACCD side, we had my team members, my staff that included programmers, analysts, and we did have already a very well-established partnership with our business stakeholders. So we had a representative and a lead administrator from the business side that would help us work with the business on change management, adoption, training, coordinating the schedule. So it was a very well-coordinated project. So again, we sort of envisioned starting the project in October 2018 as we planned through the technical upgrade, as we really looked at what we needed, and during these decisions, I mean, there's also decisions that we made to upgrade the hardware, expand the support in reference to the infrastructure. So moving through our stabilization, we know that we needed to add additional resources. So there were several reasons why we really didn't start the full implementation of the campus solutions and fluid upgrade until really May of 2019, where we had the infrastructure in place, and then we also had the decision. And working with ERPA, they knew that we were doing a technical upgrade, so we sort of midstream during the planning decided, no, we're going to do fluid. And it was an aggressive move, but we had the backing of the business, and the ERPA team understood that we needed to add additional resources and scope to this project. So we started the project in about May of 2019, and we really were able to deploy both the technical upgrade and the fluid upgrade in about 5 months. We went live October of 2019. So it was a little aggressive, but we knew that the scope was going to have to be controlled. So it was tight, but we were able to accomplish it, and I think that was a credit to both the ERPA team and the LACCD team working together. Obviously, tight timeline, we had to look at customizations and what were going to be included in the fluid, and just same thing with fluid. You can customize, and we sort of coined the term fluidize everything in campus solutions. It's just a matter of time, effort, resources, availability. So our focus was really around who do we tackle first in terms of providing the service. And because this was sort of a student-centric approach, we made sure that the student look and feel was fluid, efficient, easy to use with the tiles. We focused a bit on the faculty needs on the initial phase. So during that 5-month implementation, we tackled the student faculty key functionality, which included admissions, enrollment, and we did get feedback and information regarding additional needs of, we want this area to be fluidized, we want this area to have the fluid tiles, and we took those requirements, but we separated it into so we wanted to capture the initial core functions in the beginning, and then also reassure the team that the organization that we were going to circle back and continue to enhance the system. So we were able to scope it out so that we would be able to deploy in 5 months. Part of this initiative also included improvements in the performance of the campus solutions application. And, some of the examples that we've had is really, we have LMS integrated with our campus solutions, Fluid Portal. We have Office 365, single sign-on, and our LMS interface prior to 9.2, just to give you a little perspective, would run for about 19 hours to generate the data needed to send over to our LMS systems. With the help of ERPA's DBA team and their developers, we were able to tune that particular interface to run under 5 minutes, which was a major impact to our business, because it was a difference between having a student get into their Canvas or the LMS system a day later. So being in community college, our enrollment is very dynamic, so we want to make sure that the students are in to the LMS system, they're able to access their courses and content. So it was about a 24-hour turnaround time between registering and then actually getting into the course. With this improvement, I mean, we run the interface every 5 minutes now. It runs under 5 minutes. So between registering into a course and getting into the learning management system is fairly efficient. So those were type of improvements we did, in addition to doing some maintenance on the infrastructure database side. And that was one of the biggest advantages that ERPA brought in experts, not just on the campus solutions system, but actually 9.2, because 9.2 wasn't as widely implemented at the time, and they had done implementation. So from their functional resources to their technical resources, they all had experience, and we, as an organization, that we didn't want to bring in individuals that they were going to sort of learn on the job. They brought in the experts. And then part of this initiative was also going through user acceptance testing, our partnership with our business and our administrative lead. She did an amazing job on really coordinating and bringing everybody together. And but this time around, obviously not like the initial implementation, we didn't have that much of an effort in terms of training, because the individuals and our organization was used to the new system. We just needed to put together some videos and some guidelines, and ERPA actually did assist us with that too. So it was a fairly successful engagement. I would say it was one of the most successful ones that our organization has worked with as a vendor, as a partner. So I'll give you a quick overview of what our system looks like. And let me just switch over here. Okay. So as I mentioned, we have our single sign-on. We're using the Active Directory Federated Services right now, which was an important choice for us to make, because we wanted to also integrate Office 365, and we also have a roadmap to move forward to Azure Active Directory. So, but Campus Solutions 9.2 is configurable with Office 365. So I'll log in as a student first. Give the student perspective. So as you can see, we work with our business stakeholders to identify key tiles, initial tiles to include for the student. And the student view is a little different than what the faculty and staff see. Obviously, it's limited. It's more focused to what they need. We have 9 colleges, so we do identify the students with a home campus. So you can see in the academic records tile, that's a custom tile, and it utilizes the home campus attribute and identifies which the home campus for the student. We do have tiles linked to Office 365. It's a direct link. The student clicks on the mail Outlook, it'll take them directly into Office 365 without a sign-on. The standard tiles regarding student accounts, class search. We did implement the Elasticsearch with our 9.2 implementation, so the students have access to that. We have a Canvas tile which directly links them into their LMS without a sign-on. We do also integrate with Cranium Cafe, which what our counselors use for online counseling, and now more than ever, that was a big help in our current times. But you can see here, student tiles are fluid, and they're very straightforward. It does put a nice look and feel, and we feel it's an improvement from the classic page. So let me switch over to what a staff sees, and I'm going to use my account, and I do have a bit more access than a general staff user, but a couple things I wanted to point out. So you can see different from the students, I can see all the different home pages, and part of our scoping efforts for the Fluid 9.2 was really to identify, like I mentioned, the areas we were gonna address first. So we did the students and faculty, but then we went back and we created an admissions and records, which is our student records office, a homepage for them, and identified, again, tiles that are relevant to their main functions. But for the staff, we also enabled their ability to add custom tiles. So they can add tiles to pages. They can navigate through the navigator, which they have access to, but the students don't. Get to a page, and then they're able to identify and create a tile on the home page so that they can have direct access. This is more of the work center concept that was in the 9.2. But we did a page for admissions and records in phase 2. We did one for academic advising. So we continue to improve. And one of the advantages of Fluid also, because we want to scope it out so that we can have the ability to really be successful in our deployments, but we can pick and choose which pages we can quote, fluidize, and which we can keep classic until we're ready to move over. So you can see in the faculty center, because we have more customizations on our rosters, we still have the rosters area as a classic, but within the frame of the fluid pages. But our rosters are a bit customized, so we're in the process of converting this to fluid, but we didn't want to stop or interrupt the business function. So this is an advantage to have, where you can have Fluid deployed with classic pages so that there isn't too big of an impact to the users. Some of it is familiar for them to use, and then we can scope it out and continue to upgrade. There was a key decision that I would say I would highly recommend when looking at Fluid is when Fluid is deployed based on their theme, there is the ability to enable an option at the top that says switch to classic view. And we did work with our business to really understand, do we really want to enable that? I would say the initial reaction would be, oh yes, it's easier for adopting. Some users are familiar, some are not. But at the end of the day, we decided it actually would harm the efforts to adopt to the new interface, because we saw that based on our user testing, that everybody would just go to the classic and not utilize the fluid pages. So there was a business decision made not to include that, and it was successful because it allowed us to really work with our business to adopt the new interface. And as they started using it, the navigation is fairly similar in terms of the naming and title. So it was just a matter of location and where to look. Another good feature when we went to Fluid was the favorites for the users actually do come over. So that helps, because they can, when they go to their favorites, they're used to that. So they took the favorites and they actually created tiles based on that to their homepage. Another feature that our organization found it useful was the search. And I know search existed in the 9.0, but it's a little more efficient to find things on the page or in the system. So there have been significant improvements, and our adoption has been very well and successful. But those are some of the I would say the takeaways from our project that we found to be successful. That's all I have. I'm gonna switch over to Sign.
Hand it back over to Cy. Yeah, thank you, Albert, so much for that. That was very insightful and helpful. We don't have any questions yet. I just remind you all that there is a question box if you want to ask us some questions. There's a chat box too if you'd like to share anything else with us. And now I'm going to turn it over to Cy. He's going to talk about Fluid as a Service and then show you some examples from some of the other pillars, HCM and finance. So why don't you take it away, Cy?
Absolutely, thank you. Thanks so much. So as you saw what how LACCD are benefiting. So here, just to quick summary on this, like it's like faster approval decision making in terms of the workflows, in terms of getting quick access to the information, as well as the mobile design that was used, that was like immense usefulness to the students community, and then also like the reduced time for the project design time as we got ERPA's pre-designed solution. How are we getting that pre-designed solution that we're talking about from ERPA? So this is the typical the cycle, product development cycle, from where you're saying it's you go through the proof of concept, and then you go through the assessment, implementation, design phase, and stuff like that. So here we have like many areas already covered. We have the concept, we have the user search, we have the feasibility of the proof of concept. We've created all these pre-designed tiles in our environment, where and cuts down the design time. So all you're doing is like configuring and implementing, testing, and releasing. So what we have is pre-designed tiles, so home pages and stuff like that. So which gives this is like a working business solution for various companies and clients. So looking at it, it's only the custom tiles things that you want to do differently or unique to your environment is done. Otherwise, all the standard functionalities in the department related requirements are already pre-configured, so that cuts down the time by more than 60%. And one of the use cases I want to talk about is the city of Raleigh. It's like it's a large public sector, almost like $1 billion revenue. They had PeopleSoft Financials and HCM module with medium level customization overall, and of course Oracle is pushing towards the clients to move towards Fluid, not only because of all the flexibility and the great things. It's also from a support perspective. The down the line, once they release the Fluid equivalent pages of functionality, within 24 months from that time, they would no more support the classic pages. I mean, you can use that and you can continue, but there won't be any enhancement or any fixes from Oracle. And all applications are, of course, moving towards self-guided with lesser clicks kind of a need, as we said. So we implemented HCM and finance module with 9.2 and 8.5.6 with our rapid design development approach. And we also did the portal consolidation. This is another thing that like LACCD, we got rid of their iHub. So starting 8.5.6 onwards, you can use one of your pillars as your portal, and you don't need to maintain another additional portal, and you can have links and home pages for external, as you saw in LACCD case as well, to use that. And a lot of benefits, as we've already talked about, in terms of reduction in the time of implementation and the ease of the job and role. Now, what are these pre-designed home pages we are talking about? So we are like, if we look at the finance home pages are more functional centric. So the ones that are in bold, like accounts payable, general ledger, and so forth, so on and so forth, those are the ones that we had, we customized, and we was not readily available from PeopleSoft. It was like they would have something like finance and reconciling, and that would have GL, AP, and everything together in the delivered homepage. But we provided more function-centric home pages, and the ones that are not bold, they are delivered as it is, and it could be used just like that. And same case with HCM. So we have, with payroll administrator, we have like day 1, day 2, day 3, and various specific dashboards that are required for them. And if we take up these pages, these are called actually smart pages, and we already talked about the campus part, so I'll skip on. So here, if you look at these what we call it smart tiles, you have, once you, the first click, or if you are an accounts payable person, if this is your home page setup, you can actually see the data and the information. Like you're looking at what is the voucher approval cycle time, what are the average payment time. So you can already see the information without clicking, like how many outs are there, things like that. So those are all readily available in this design compared to our classic. And here's one of the example of how an employee self-service for finance in a mobile view looks like. And on the HR centric focus, here you see how your employee self-service page looks like. And once on clicking that, you get the detailed slide of fluid slide. This is what it looks like. Now, apart from these, PeopleSoft also provides opportunity for external pages and entities. For example, like you have supplier homepage, you have customer. Like supplier page, you can have generic pages where you don't need to get into the system. So it's outside of your PeopleSoft, outside of your firewall, where you can get to know what is the general information. And then you also have the supplier who are doing business with you. You can have their information. They can log in and get into this area to check their POs, check their receipts. And same thing we have for customer, we have for other outside entities. So these are the various features of other HR as well as finance home pages that are provided. We've custom created them for fast, speedy implementation. So basically, we can just come and configure that based on your needs and requirement, and that saves a lot of design time, a lot of the things that we already talked about. So with that, I would like to hold off and ask and check if there are any questions that we have for a Q&A session. And also, before we go into Q&A session, I would like to do a quick poll question. So let me raise a poll question here. So I know you might be in various stages. What's general idea in terms of when you plan to get Fluid into your system? Okay, so all right. So I'll close the poll now and share the results. So here, so we have one friends planning to do that within 3 months, and so far and so forth. Let me ask one other poll question before I jump into the QA. So this is the last question for today. So just want to understand whether you guys want to implement all by yourself with internal team, or with some consulting help, or a hybrid approach. So what's the all right. Okay, I'll close the. So half of the participants would like to go with the internal, and then a third of them with the hybrid approach with the partners.
Interesting. Just as a reminder, we have the question capability in GoToWebinar. You can ask us a question by typing in the question box. You can also chat with us by typing in the chat box. At the moment, I don't see any questions there, and I don't see any chat there. So
There's a question.
Yeah, there's like the 2 questions I see.
Oh, huh. I can't see them.
There's a question, are you able to create a file from a classic pagelet? I have a classic pagelet with links to commonly used queries that I'd like to make into a tile. There is the ability to do that, and one of the options I mentioned with the faculty center, it's a tile that leads to the faculty center. Now it is embedded within a fluid area, so there has to be some set up there, but it's not directly going to a classic page. It's a classic page embedded within fluid, but it's very common, and you can do it. In reference to queries, depends on how you get to the query, if it's through the query manager or through another means. It all depends, but there is the ability to do that. It's a matter of just setting it up.
Yeah, I would also add to that is when we talk about pivot grids. Pivot grids are tabular structured content for the query. They can be placed on the tile or inside. So those are based out of query. So if you have a query that can be, you can utilize a pivot grid kind of a tile to publish.
And Albert, what's the second question that you see?
The second question is, considering the current generation of students who want to primarily interact with mobile devices, what we've seen on student enrollment and engagement. And I can tell you that, we both, just by observation and sort of the surveys, polling that we've done, it's one of the surveys we did on the appeasement of is fluid interface adaptable, and are the students liking the fluid interface instead of the classic? It was a 93% approval on the fluid interface from our students. In terms of enrollment, we've seen a steady increase, granted up to the whole the last 3 months with certain situations, but we have seen an increase. I think one of the key things is that we've learned from the fluid interface is it's not just making the fluid interface for enrollment, it's really to make it efficient for the class search. So Elasticsearch has been very helpful, and it's been very positive. We've seen a huge improvement both on the student side. I myself am also a faculty member. I do teach at one of our colleges, and it's been overwhelmingly positive. And again, it's if we look at it within the context, our initial mobile design again would allow you to look at just your courses. Now the students can do everything. It's been very, very positive. That's one of the reasons why it was very well received. On we did have questions about going with Fluid to the technical upgrade, but it allowed us to really get a huge boost, and we've seen positive feedback all the way to our board of trustees that we've gotten significant positive feedback.
Thanks, Albert.
There is another question. Maybe this is for your team, Gary. It says we're planning to HCM and currently 9.2 at 9.2 with fluids suppressed. What are the major roadblocks your team faced while implementing, or lessons we can benefit from your? I can let you know. In reference to the roadblocks, It's really just, you know, it's their tendencies. It's their tendencies. It's the pushback on change. It's the comfort level that they have with the classic view, where they're able to find certain things easier. And with Fluid, it is a significant change. And if your organization is similar to ours, we do have a large staff, a large number of staff that have been with the organization for 25 plus years. And looking at a new interface is gonna require some adoption. I would say one of the key success factors of actually overcoming that was the close partnership with our business stakeholders, from our executive management, from the channel, to really really establish a trust with the business and let them know that there's advancements and there's efficiencies that are being presented. And yes, there's going to be a bit of a learning curve, but we continue to work through them and really reassure them that the partnership that we have with the business it's not stopping with the project implementation. We went live in October and we're done. They're on their own. It's really a continuous process to come back and say, okay, how can we improve this, or where's the challenges? Is it a technical challenge? Is it a training challenge? And really working with the business. I mean, one of the key things was our technical business analysts were much more proficient in the system because they've been working on it. So we've designated time for them to have sessions in partnership with the business users that are more adapted to this system. So it's going to be an iterative process. I think at the beginning is important, establishing a partnership, identifying that this is not just a technical implementation. It's really an improvement to the business. It's a business implementation, has helped a lot.
That's true. Yeah, go ahead, Si.
Yeah, I would like to chime in. I mean, specifically on the HCM front. I mean, when one of this, City of Raleigh also, as Albert mentioned, involving the business and the people who are actually doing the work, and showing them the capability, and especially when you're talking about the HR centric, there is always a business process. I mean, if you're talking about the payroll, there are activities that are like T-4 day, T-3 day, T-2. So your design kind of helps them to elevate all their problems of navigations and things like that. So there are always things that you detect during these process whenever any change, or things that are not well documented. There are manual events and activities that are happening, which can be put into the the tiles. It can be put into their home pages. So activity guides and stuff like that. So that helps them to understand and push their capability. And of course, all the things that Albert talked about, the change management and getting involved earlier surely helps. And with here in the HCM, we had like close to 80% design we already had, and when we demonstrated that to various groups, including everybody. When I say it's not just the managers and the leaders of the business, but the actual the employees who are actually doing the work, and that surely helped us to look at that design and get a seamless introduction. Of course, testing is very key. Testing.
And Albert, did you find that students more easily grasp the user interface?
What was that, Gary? Gary?
Yes, sorry about that.
Yeah. I didn't get your question.
Oh, did you find that the students easily grasped the new interface, the Fluid interface, and were able to use it with very little training?
Yes, definitely. That's from the Fluid, and in general with the 9.0 implementation, we did minimal training and guidance for the students. I would say students are easily adaptable to especially, the fluid interface. It's tile based. It's similar to what the mobile devices utilize. I think we did have to focus a little more on our faculty, which we understood and we knew that was the case. But it was really just tying in the fluid functionality into what was existing there, and it was just a matter of, nothing was lost in the implementation. And that was also a key point that we made during our implementation, that any functionality that we had in the 9.0 was not going to be lost. Continue to work with ERPA on that. And I know that there's a question about not having enough information on the fluid pages, and we didn't find that to be an issue, because the way we sort of the for fluid was, fluid gives you a quick and easy access to certain areas. Now the areas itself, again, we do have pages that are a bit more customized, and that's where we sort of figured, okay, well, you can get to it through the fluid tiles, but then you still have the information there. So it's really working with the business and understanding their needs. But it wasn't like, we can't do fluid because it doesn't have the ability for our staff members to have the information and access they need. Now, again, I know you're from the question that was asked was from the but we didn't see that in any of our modules on the Campus Solutions student side.
Great, thanks. Do we have any other questions before we log off here? Thank you, this has been very productive.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. This session has been recorded and will be available if you'd like to share with colleagues or anyone else. So just let us know. Thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and we'd love to have further discussions with you about this.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks, Albert.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.